Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Power Hour, Session 3, Episode 2, Wellness and Wealth. We are thrilled to have you join us. Today, we'll explore the dynamic intersection of nurturing body, mind, and finances. Get ready for inspiring conversations, expert insights, and actionable advice to elevate your overall well being. Let's power up. It is my pleasure.
It is my pleasure to introduce the remarkable Anu Vittal, a visionary entrepreneur, artist, author, and life coach who has dedicated her life to spreading happiness and empowerment. She is honored as iconic woman entrepreneur for the creative industry at the Women Economic Forum, New Delhi 2017. And she is also one among the top 25 Canadian immigrants for her community and charitable impact. As a pioneer of being SPPFFY, spiritual, physical, personal, professional, financial, and family friends framework, Anu has inspired countless individuals and organizations worldwide to cultivate joy, resilience, and fulfillment in all aspects of life. With her unique blend of corporate expertise, artistic creativity, and wellness vision, Anu is a true leader in her field. I extend a warm welcome to Anu ma'am for this Power Hour session on behalf of Delhi Public School, Bangalore East.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and a joy, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to serve you all.
Thank you, ma'am. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome our speaker, Mr. Harish, a distinguished professional and a true advocate of financial empowerment. With over 2 decades of experience in the banking sector, having served with distinction at HSBC, Mr. Harish rose to the position of Vice President, leading diverse roles in retail banking, wealth management, and more. What's truly inspiring is his passion for giving back, dedicating himself to spreading financial literacy among young people, especially those from underprivileged backgrounds. Through workshops and sessions, he simplifies complex financial concepts, empowering them to make informed life choices. Let's warmly welcome Mr. Harish.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for this warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here in this distinguished group of people. And I thank Delhi Public School, uh, Bangalore East for having me here. And I think it's really a powerful session that's going to be today. I hope the students and the participants here will take a lot of things back home.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Eager to hear from you, sir. Let's begin with our question answer round. Are you both ready?
Yes.
Sort of.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. My first question is for Harish, sir. Sir, what smart money habits should students build, and how can a beginner start and maintain a basic budget?
First of all, this question is well within the syllabus. Let me put it like that. So, this question is very loaded in the sense that it doesn't have one fit answer. However, as the wealth expert in our age, the century, Warren Buffett says, do not save, do not save what is left. It says after spending. Please save whatever whatever you save first and then spend later. That's what his thought process is. So coming to that budget part of it, I think there is no right fit for right. Everyone has got a different way of saving and budgeting. But the thumb rule says 50%, 30%, and 20% is what the allocation should be. 50% towards your basic needs, which includes roti, kapda, makan.
Yes.
Then the 30% will go into the next level, as Maslow's theory of motivation says. The next level is your wants, probably a luxury or your lifestyle, whatever it is. And the 20%, which becomes imperative, which is your investments and savings. So if you have 100 rupee, just divide that in terms of budgeting this way. I would probably am more biased towards the 20% being 30% and the 30 being 20, but the world doesn't, probably most of the people don't follow higher investments, but they always follow higher on the lifestyles. They spend more. Having said that, I think for students here, habits are very important. So I think they need to start investing early. That's the whole crux of the whole thing. Wealth is created over a period of time and not just overnight. Okay, although there are some very rare examples of people making money just out of nowhere and things like that, but that's just a fraction of the whole percentage of wealth creation. So, my simple point to everyone here is to start early, start being consistent, have a good habit of budgeting, and keep a line of sight rather than splurging whatever you have at this point of time. The tendency is to enjoy the moment. Well, that's good in some ways, but looking ahead is also very, very critical. So, as we say, the tree doesn't grow just like that. You nurture it and over a period of time, and then you pluck the fruits. And the whole purpose of that is to start early, have good saving habits, and also one important thing is don't leverage yourself, over leverage yourself. If you're able to do 100 rupees, you don't spend 120. Simple as that. You can do without it. A day will come when you have a surplus. So, in other words, don't get into a debt trap. That is what I was trying to hint at. And I've also noted down one more point that, in today's day and age, there are a lot of social media that announces saying that you can make this money, that money, quick money, and so on and so forth. Fundamentally, we need to understand. I would urge on students to be more financially literate as to find out if it's so easy, everyone would be making money. So the logic seems to be to say that you make money over a period of time consistently. And if I were to draw an analogy of cricket, for instance, so a lot of cricket fans will be there in the student community, I guess. Rahul Dravid versus a T20 specialist. I'm not sure whom I can relate to at this point in time. But however, Rahul Dravid, if you see his way of batting, he will accumulate over a period of time, yet being very effective and not giving up. That's the kind of strategy that one needs to follow. Just to answer the question of budgeting, I think allocate time. And one more point that I would like to pass on to the students here is give the same kind of allocation to your skill sets too.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, probably let's say I'm good at something, you invest into that. So I'm just bringing investment into your day-to-day dynamics at a student life. We've all been students ourselves at one point of time, but being unaware of certain things or most of the things. Today we are in an era where students are privy to a lot of things. So being conscious of the fact that there is an habit that will decide how things will move in. So budget is something which they can look at, budgeting of time, budgeting of their resources, budgeting of their time they spend, right? So ultimately, that is what is the endeavor for students. I hope I've kind of touched upon what you intended to get out of
Definitely,
me.
sir. Definitely. Thank you so much for that insightful response, sir. I'm sure our audience will find these tips not only actionable, but also empowering as they embark on their financial journeys.
My next question is for Anuman. Can financial stress be transformed into motivating force for growth rather than a barrier to wellness?
What a great question. Stress can be such a phenomenal opportunity to glow like a diamond. Just like coal under pressure, under stress, reveals a beautiful diamond, so also can we. And here I want to share a story. Anyone know who the inventor of WhatsApp is? If so, put it in the comments. So, the inventor of WhatsApp, his name is Ian Kum, and he was a young boy growing up in Ukraine, decided to come to the United States with his mother and grandmother. His dad worked in the army, so he wasn't allowed to leave the country. They had a very hard life when they came to the US as immigrants. His mother and grandmother worked as house help, and they really struggled to put money together. And at that time, which is about 15, 20 years ago, communication, especially to the Ukraine, was very difficult from the US. Their phone calls were very short with the father, and communication was so critical. That was a pain that they consistently felt throughout their journey. And soon after his schooling, his mother passed away, and shortly after that, the grandmother. And the grief was so deep that the father, even before he could come into the US, he also passed away. So this young man with a graduate degree is now looking for a job with the top tech companies, Yahoo, Google, and failing at it. But then he persevered and he used his stress to say to himself, there's a purpose behind this. There's a meaning. I need to know what that is. And maybe what I should do is create an app that makes communication free for all of humanity. And that's what he did. He took a beautiful little a section of a back office and made it his dream job to code for 5 years and created WhatsApp, which is today one of the greatest applications used by 8 billion people around the world, the largest tech takeover at $19 billion by Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook. So I do believe that stress, when used positively, can make you shine bright like a diamond. And all you have to do is stop. And stop stands for S for stop, take time, take look at the opportunity, and then take that moment to use that for promoting a purpose in your life. So STOP can take away stress and bring you your very similar to the motto of your school, service before self. When you find your purpose, when you serve your community, the byproducts of that are fame and money. So you can definitely use stress to your positive effect. Remember, you're all shining diamonds, and every cut makes you shine better.
That's such a thoughtful perspective, ma'am. I like how you framed stress not just as a challenge, but as an opportunity to grow stronger. My next question is for Harish sir. How should a student decide between saving, investing, and spending on skill development?
Uh, Again, a difficult one. However, from a student perspective, and the thought process is not completely different. I think the most powerful tool that any one of us in this room has is the mind. And if the mind is nurtured or tuned to, hone our skills towards habits, good habits, I think we make the best of our lives. However, I would simply say that, creation of wealth, if that is one of the aims of the students out here, it has to come with applying the most powerful thing, which is the mind. Your future is created basically with what you do today. You sow a plant, a seed, it sprouts and then it grows into a plant, it grows into a beautiful flowering plant, and then it goes into a thick tree, and then it becomes a branch, and then the fruits come out of it, and then you pluck it. That's the way things are. I mean, it is not as simple as that. That's why we're going through the school, college, and then the corporate life and the retirement life, kind of a life stage. But to understand each of these life stages, I think one has to apply their minds, and someone has to invest into the skills required at each period of our lives. The skill that is required today in terms of investment and saving is what we are talking about as a topic here, is the skill to understand what savings gives us and what investment gives us. All of us in this room know about compounding. So compound interest formula, everyone knows. I'm not asking you an answer for it, but the compounding formula is applicable to wealth more mathematically, and also it is time tested, proven over a period of time. So if you talk about how do you measure the growth of wealth, is by investing into something. So by saving, you're only saving for the day, for a short term or a near term kind of a thing. But investment is over a period of time, and that gives you a return. We call it a ROI. So return on investment. But that comes over a period of time, and sometimes it's very exponential. So compounding is something which compound interest is something which all the students here have to really look at it very critically and say, if I put X amount today, and there are proven track records of someone putting 10,000 rupees in 1995, which has grown to about 8 crores or something like that. I mean, it is proven, it is there. So everyone can go and do a little bit of research on the Google and find out if I had invested money in that and if I had done this. So it applies to even life skills. When we say, had we done this, we would have gone here. Someone, in Bangalore, someone says, had I bought some real estate here at that point of time, I would have been somewhere else. Those kind of regrets, in the hindsight, in markets and everywhere, it says everything is true. Had I done this, had I done. But if we have that inclination to do something right at the right time, for example, being skillful at a time when, at every point of time in our lives, it's not easy, but it should be a habit. So the very single thing is that students here should start investing into their skill sets. That is going to give them the return on investment, because I know they have pocket money now at this point of time, and I'm sure it's lots of it. But however, the investment part of it should be on their skill sets. So which will give them the return of investment over a period of time. So you are going to be what you are at that point of time based on what you have done now. So it is going to be like that. If you're nurtured it well, it would pay off somewhere else. So I would go with the fact that, between saving and investing, I think you need this two things. One is short-term measure, one is a long-term measure, and both are equally important. More the long term, because as you go, I'm not sure inflation as a subject has been talked about. The price rise has been talked about. We are in Bangalore. We all are, fond of masala dosas. So masala dosa used to be 30 rupees or 20 rupees even 5 years back. Or when I was a student, it probably would have been 5 rupees. And today it has costed 100 rupees. So in order to catch up to that price rise inflation, one needs to catch up with the earnings also. Therefore, investment becomes very critical. On a savings bit, yes, I need that money to watch this movie. I need to have this for recharge my phone and things like that. Those are meant for day-to-day things. Savings is short term, investment is long term. So I will just go back to the students and say, look, you need to invest into your skill sets more at this point in time, and correlate that when you start earning. And then just as a follow up. And two are dimensionally not different. It's the same. The approach is the same.
Thank you for that enlightening answer, sir. It's certainly food for thought.
Anu ma'am, this is for you. In your experience, how closely are wealth and wellness connected in a person's life?
Wealth and wellness are basically two sides of the same coin. And so I think they have so much in common when you want to look at how you're investing, because you are your own best asset. If you are the CEO of you, and that is your company, how do you look at the balance sheet positively every morning? And how do you make sure that you upgrade yourself and that your net worth keeps increasing on a daily basis? So, here I want to talk a little bit about science. We as human beings are actually divine beings having a human experience on earth school. And that being said, when we look at the equation, the very famous equation, E is equal to mc squared, mass is equal to energy. So as much as we have what we call our Annamaya Kosha, or the body that is made of earth, fire, water as spirit, we are conscious beings in this universe synchronized with the earth as it is in exactly the same composition. And similarly, when we are with other people around us, we are emanating frequencies, which is within us, which is called the Anandamaya Kosha and the Manomaya Kosha. And externally, there are two other biospheres. And so, to give you an example, these biospheres extend from your navel outside a foot and a half and circulate around you. So, when you, for example, get into an elevator, when the doors open and someone walks in, then you tend to stand apart from them. One, because you want to give them space, but two, when someone encroaches on your biosphere, you get a vibrational experience. So that's why you say, he's on my vibe. I've got a good vibe. She understands my wavelength. So that's exactly what's happening to us as human beings. So, for example, if everybody loves Kapil Sharma, we watch him every Saturday, Sunday on the TV, but he's performing in a studio miles away. But we are able to see him through transmissions. And that is the most amazing thing about science. So, if we are multidimensional beings with absolute limitless potential and frequencies, then we can definitely align ourselves to the value of wealth that is available abundantly in this universe. And so, to be able to give a more approachable, uh, I would call, framework to how to achieve this, I invented something called being spiffy. And so, being spiffy, the word spiffy, Spiffy, is a old British word that's used very much here in Canada. It means looking good, looking smart. But then it's not enough to look good on the outside, which is equally important, but it's so much more important and integral to look good on the inside. And how do you do that? So for many years, I maintained something called a power diary, and I would write little notes to myself on things I wanted to change and improve. And then I realized they pretty much fall into the same categories. And I'm just going to hold up my book so it gives you the words spiffy. I created an acronym for S for spiritual, P for physical, P for personal, P for professional, F for financial, and the last F and the most important for family and friends. So if we invest in these 6 pillars on a regular basis, then we will be able to create wealth that will not just attract money and abundance into our life, but it'll give us great health, it'll give us the peace of mind, it'll give us good relationships, a great career path, and it'll create something that will live on forever. Sometimes you can create a legacy that makes you famous from the work that you do and what you give to your world and the community around you, that will then create something more special for the people to follow behind and journey forward through your life.
Definitely, ma'am. That's amazing. It's a powerful reminder that wealth isn't just money, it's about living a balanced and a fulfilling life. So, my next question is for you. How can a young person plan for major life goals like higher education, starting a business, or buying a home without feeling financially overwhelmed?
Well, I think the previous answer to the previous question by Anu's explanation on spiffy, I think said it all in many factors. However, there are some goals that need to be fulfilled, um, uh, whether we like it or not. It's a compulsion. So the goals can be termed as short term, medium term, and long term, and you can attribute a number of years to it. Probably a short term goal is, let's say, from a student perspective, to get the board exams out of a way, or finish learning something and do a crash course in AI or something of that sort. It could be a short term goal, and anything which is like 3 to 5 years, a medium term goal. And long term would probably, you can bracket it up 10 years upwards. However, when it comes to money and life goals to be tied in, And as you rightly was pointing out, someone should not be overwhelmed by the financial this thing. I'll give an example of what what I kind of indirectly succeeded to do in some forum. So there was this students sitting in the audience. So one of them asked, "Sir, I would like to do engineering after in class 8 student said, I want to do engineering." So it was a slightly underprivileged kind of a school, but however, the money aspect came in. And just I'm giving an example so that we'll be able to understand it more with clarity. So the counter question that I asked, if you are wanting to do engineering, do you know how much does it cost to do the engineering? The answer was somewhere 10 lakhs. I'm not sure what the number was. But however, the spirit of it was you have a goal in place. Your eighth standard, I think, must be 12, 13 years kind of a age group. And at probably 18 or 19, you would have to get into. So it's a 6-year window that you need to prepare financially. So we did a Excel saying that, okay, I need 10 lakhs. How much should I invest on a monthly basis or a frequent basis, whatever the periodicity is? And all of it was done by the student. And he came with a number of 8,000 rupees or something like that, assuming you get a nominal return on that of the investment. Now, which investment, what investment is a different subject altogether. However, the goal was to be met with this consistent habit of investing. And it appeared very, very simple because it was just 8,000 rupees vis-a-vis a 10 lakh number there. So it's almost like saying, okay, we're talking of Dasara, which is coming around Chamundi temple. We have 500 steps. Now, when you thought of 500 steps to be climbed in one go, tires you out. And if you see the other way of, stepping one step at a time is something which probably doesn't give you so much of mental fatigue and overwhelming kind of a feeling. You just say, okay, we'll take it one at a time. So that's something which I would like to share with the students, saying that, look, you need to do it step by step and have a goal tied in with medium, short term, long term kind of a goal, aspirationally also. It's not just money I'm talking about here. I'm talking about spiffy here. So we would like to pass on the message to the students that there are goals which are very personal, goals which are health related. I would like to lose weight, like say 20 kgs by so and so time. That's also a goal. Career and financial, which is very financial planning, which are very integral to the students. What is the career that I need to follow, and then how much money everyone wants money. Everyone wants, when the college students would say, I would want 15 lakh LPA, without which I will not join. That kind of aspiration is there. Yes, you can plan it for it. Opportunities are there. Then you have relationships, which is also very critical. And then the most important thing is the habits that will drive your passion. So some of us in this group are very passionate about, let's say, playing cricket. Now, how many of us have the luxury of being told, pursue your cricket, don't pursue your studies? And I don't think that is the norm, but that's an exception because you have to be an exceptional talent in order to make something big. But that doesn't stop us from thinking on those lines. Can we do something very big in life? So all this can happen only when a habit is created and a life goal is created and not being too overwhelmed by the goal itself. Here, the goal we are talking about financial goals specifically, but not to get overwhelmed, start early, have a good habit and bucket the entire goals into periods of short periods, long periods, and medium term. So I think in essence, I would like to say that nothing can happen if you don't have a idea or an inkling of planning towards the goal. And you
Very
should know the goal itself. Define your goals. And all of us have different goals and aspirations. And some of it is common and some of it is personal. I think the students should focus on goals personal also. And that will drive them to the best levels of efficiency in their lifestyle. Thank you.
Very true, sir. That's a valuable perspective. Thanks for sharing, sir.
Anu, ma'am, my next question is for you. How does peer pressure impact decision making, emotions, and overall well being? How can one use peer influence in a positive way?
I think peer pressure and people around you in the environment that we live in constantly, social media is absolutely necessary. One, it creates an opportunity for awareness of your own self worth and allowing for criticism or opinions also helps you adjust your path as you journey forward. Because even as you go through a forest, there are big rocks, there are trees, there are beautiful plants, there are animals, there are snakes. So, all of these create the person that you are. You can't just have a perfect life and become the person that you need to be. Even when Shah Rukh Khan journeyed forward, he met all kinds of people, and today he's one of the greatest superstars of our country, of our world, right? So I think that is very important. However, you do not have to be bought and sold by the opinions of others. And what do I mean by that? People will constantly share opinions based on their own belief system and their own experiences. So, for example, if you're in school and you're good at something and then someone passes an opinion, you can tell them that thank you for your opinion. If you feel like that opinion is critical for your own journey forward and it helps to add value and it's a positive feedback, then you can absorb it and adjust your own journey accordingly. But if you feel that it's negative or bullying, then what you can do is you can very politely say thank you for your opinion, but what do you mean by that? Now if they're really being genuine and have good intentions, they'll probably share the actual reason for them to give their opinion. But if they're being mean, and you can always say that, I don't know if I understand that clearly, could you please clarify it? You can also say sometimes critical people are more critical of themselves, and maybe that's what you're trying to say to me, but I still would like to think and know that who I am is what I'm good at, and I'm going to be going forward in the journey. For example, a mango tree is a mango tree. It's good at giving mango fruit. It cannot give oranges. An orange tree is good at giving oranges, so it'll give oranges. So tomorrow you tell a mango tree or an orange tree, it doesn't care. It's still going to give the most beautiful mangoes that it needs to give. And this reminds me of a very beautiful story of Buddha, the saint, the very famous saint, with his calm demeanor, is walking through a village, and as he's walking by, there's a little boy playing outside. It's around lunchtime. His mother's cooking the meal inside the house, and this boy is so enamored by this procession and this beautiful, calming, magnetic personality of Buddha that he starts to follow the procession and they start to go to the next village. So, about half an hour has passed, and the mother comes out. She's frantically calling out her son's name, Krishna, Krishna, where are you? And then the neighbors hear her and they say, oh, we just saw him following the procession. And he was going with this, procession with Buddha, and he's gone about 20, 30 minutes ago. So then she runs to the village, and there, under a peepal tree, she sees the Buddha sitting, and behind him there are about 4 or 5 devotees, and the little boy is sitting with his chin resting on his hand, looking at the Buddha, and there are people sitting, all the devotees right under. And then the lady comes and she shouts and she pulls the child and gives him a couple of slaps and says, why did you go away when it's lunchtime? I really needed you to stay in the house, and you shouldn't go without telling me. And then she shouts at the Buddha. The Buddha doesn't say a single word. He just keeps on smiling and smiling peacefully. And so once she's done, the devotee behind Buddha on the right hand side gets very upset, and he cannot hold it anymore. He says, Buddha, why did you keep quiet? She's shouting at you for no reason. She's saying all these bad things to you. And why did you not say something back to her? And even then, the Buddha is quiet. And in the old days, we carried the water carrier in the little pot that we had, with the brass pot. So the Buddha lifts that and gives it to the devotee. The devotee takes it. And then the Buddha says, I chose to give you, you chose to take it, now it belongs to you. So you need to take action accordingly. She chose to give me insults, I chose not to take it. So I do not have to respond at all. So that opinion of hers and that feedback of hers stays with her, especially when it's toxic, right? So we can all do that. We all have choices. We do not have to suffer. We have a choice to do things. And even when we're failing and doing things differently, I don't think there's any good or bad in life. It's just a belief system. What we need to do is come into the awareness of it. If we have a mentor or a guide who's giving us positive feedback, take that and then change it. You are the movie star of your own life. This is your movie. You are the producer, you are the director, and the actor. So if you take a bad shot and fail at something, you can change it, go back, rewrite the script, redo the shot, make the movie the best movie you can ever make. So every moment is a choice in your life, irrespective of peer pressure. You can take choice, you can make choices, you can take decisions, and you can make all of those opportunities spectacular as you go forward in your life journey.
Exactly. Peer pressure does not always have to be negative. Turning it into peer inspiration can be a game changer. Thank you for that beautiful story, ma'am. Harish sir, I would like to ask you, how can young adults avoid common financial mistakes that often led to long term debt?
So the most common phenomena is not tracking your budget. Let's say you budgeted for something and you didn't track it. Basically, you had budgeted for something and you used it for something else. You know that in corporate governances, this is what happens. You know, you can't utilize funds for something else when you're aimed at doing it. You know, the very objective and vision of the company is for a particular thing, and you can't mismanage the funds. And similarly, when on a household thing or an individual level, what we need to do is to track the budget which we had set for. If the budget was not set for, at least track where you went wrong in terms of expenses. And largely, these are driven by impulsive buying. Of course, when there is an emergency, it's an emergency. I'm just talking about things which can be controlled by us. For example, lifestyle is something which is the bane of everything today in the material world. And I would like to add the point where needs and wants come into picture here. So if you had needed something at that point of time, and if you just it's typical of all of us going into a supermarket and buying more than what we actually intended to buy. When you go to supermarket, when you wanted to buy just 2 kgs of something, you know, rice or a dal or something like that, and then you end up buying so many other ancillary things while waiting in the queue also. ये भी डाल दो, ये भी डाल दो, ये भी डाल दो, ये भी लगा दो. And those kind of impulsive buying happens. Now, these are not actually measured at that point of time, and it comes only when the bill hits us. So at that point in time, probably we say, okay, we are overspent at some this thing. So we need to be mindful of what we had set as a budget and what we are capable of and what we have done actually. So that inclination towards having a line of sight to having things in control, and you should not go into a debt zone beyond a certain point. Well, money is important. Being over leveraged is not very good. Suppose you want to buy a house for which costs you about a 2 crore kind of a number, and if your ability and your ambition don't match there, you'll have to be very careful saying that, okay, at this point in time, I'll go for this and probably in the next. So that happens to all kinds of things, be it a car, be it a dress, be it anything for that matter. So the major pitfall is that you overspend on certain things. So that comes very unconsciously and naturally. Sometimes we are not mindful. So that is one aspect which I would like to this thing. And when we are not very clear of something, we should not get into it. And unnecessary loans is a big bane in the corporate industry today. Be it companies, be it individuals, retail people, everyone seems to be over leveraging themselves in anticipation of something is going to happen, because we don't even know whether jobs are secure at some point of time. We don't even know our salaries will go to that level where we can repay the loans. So there is a over leveraging that is happening. It can happen at a country level, it can happen at an individual level, it can happen at a society level, everywhere. So that over leveraging is something which we need to be very careful of. And what we can, we should, what we cannot, I think we should just avoid. That is the education that one needs to be inculcating in ourselves. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very difficult path for everyone to, to counter this monster called, unnecessary expenses. So the question here is, tracking your expenses, tracking your lifestyle, have a pit stop saying that, okay, I've done this. Have I done it right, wrong? Is something. So needs and wants will come into the picture there. There are certain things which you do not want actually. You can be without. I mean, having an iPhone is not mandatory. So a lot of people would want to buy an iPhone for the simple reason they'll say, okay, that is my social status. But am I in a position to pay for that? It's very easy to get a credit card loan and this loan and that loan in today's world. Everything is app based. So one falls for it and they're not able to pay. And, interestingly, they're paying more interest every month. Unfortunately, that builds up over a period of time and then they become a wreck, financial wreck. So that's the bottom line. We need to be mindful. We need to be playing within our boundaries. Having said that, we cannot stop the aspirations, but the aspirations can be expanded only if you're mindful of what is within our capabilities. That appreciation comes only with habits on a daily basis. Just as much as you eat, drink, you need to have a 10-minute introspection. As Anu rightly said, you need to actually grow within. So that it comes only through inherent thinking and a futuristic approach towards life as a whole. I mean, not necessarily financial. Financial is just a reference to. That's the best point of reference in life is finance, because finance determines your habits. So a lot of people who are successful, who are
Sorry, I think there is some internet issues. We'll continue. Thank you for sharing those practical tips, sir. I'm sure our audience will find them truly valuable.
My next question is for you, Anu ma'am. How can students improve concentration when they feel overwhelmed or blank during an examination?
What a great question. I was looking forward to this. Because I teach happiness in a few different ways. I use hypnotherapy, EFT, emotional freedom technique, and life coaching using different methodologies. So before I share the three exercises, I just want to share that preparing your energy is very important. As I mentioned earlier, emotion is energy in motion. So our bodies are oscillating cylinders of energy, and many physics students will appreciate this. That as we emit these positive energies and frequencies, we're actually aligning ourselves towards manifesting the goal that we want. One great example, and I know for a fact he does this on a regular basis before a match, is Virat Kohli. He actually uses several visualization techniques before he goes onto the field. And many of these actors, doctors, lawyers, business people work on these throughout their daily practices, and especially before a big event they do certain techniques. And I teach a lot of these techniques to help people become successful in manifesting their goals. So, to share one of my favorite ones is something called IFA. It's the acronym that stands for I for imagination, F for focus, F for feelings, and A for action. So, what do I mean by this? So, for example, when you want to go into the examination hall and you imagine yourself being successful, always choose the best case scenario. What does this do for you? It makes you feel good. And once you imagine it, you can actually take a next step of even writing it down. What does writing do? The molecule of the ink from your pen becomes a molecule on a piece of paper. And that molecule then becomes a thing that is active live in the universe. So always your thoughts become things. So you start everything from your imagination. So once you tell yourself, I'm going to be very successful, I'm going to get 100% at this examination, that's the first step. The second step is the feelings. What are the feelings associated with creating the best case scenario? You feel good. When you feel good, you feel happy, you feel positive, you have good energy. And then from the feelings comes the focus. Focus on that. Focus on visualizing that. Focus on seeing you get that 100% in the exam, taking it back home to your parents and showing it to them, feeling this great sense of achievement, joy, pride, and being able to celebrate that with your friends, with yourself, pat yourself on the back. And last but not least, take inspired action in the direction of your goal. Whether it's going onto the cricket field to hit sixes and make a century, or going into the examination hall, you will go with that inspired action. You will study with that same enthusiasm and write that examination with the same emotion, energy in motion that creates the vibrational field in the universe that you can align with and actually bring about the manifestation of your goal. So this is all before the examination. This can start many days, and this can be a practice. This can be a meditation that you do or a guided sequence that you follow through in your mind. The second step is just before the exam. I do have a famous yogic exercise that has been taught to me, and many of you might know about it. It's called Brahmari, but the bee is extremely good at focusing on getting the nectar from the flowers. So if you want the best from your life and from your exam is to improve your concentration. So all you have to do is you have to use your fingers, your ring and middle finger, place them on your eyes, use your thumb to close your ears, and then hum like a bee. Take a deep breath. So you can go as long as you want. And I would say the longer the better. Do it at least 3 times. Find a quiet space, and then know that when you go into the examination, the meridians in your brain, the hypothalamus, all of these will receive a very peaceful signal, allowing you to have deep concentration and focus on your exam. And then last but not least, I think you had the question about anxiety, and this can be for anything, not just an examination, is to be able to, you know, rub your shoulders. This is a very, very calming technique. Normally, when we are young, our parents always, rub our back or our shoulders or give you a hug, especially children with autism. The sensory pressure principle works very well for them. And so when you hug those kind of children, that transmission of energy from one person to the other. But you are powerful yourself. And being powerful yourself, you can do this and be able to calm yourself. And this can happen at any stage in your life. It is absolutely amazing. And my super, super special favorite trick for everyone is the Superwoman and the Superman stance. And it's really easy to do. In fact, I would say you could even do this with students before they start their exam, is to be able to stand just like Superman or Superwoman. Put your arms on your waist on either side. Stand with your feet apart, hip distance apart, and hold your chin up chest out, and feel like someone up there, maybe the God or someone, up in the heaven is holding your head up with a string. You can even actually put your hands out and then bring them back to your either side of your waist. And all you're doing is actually bringing in a lot of positive energy and say that I'm Superman, I'm Superwoman, I'm strong, I am powerful, I am worthy, I am special, and I am so good at doing this exam, and I'm so good at this subject, which is math or science or whatever it might be. That itself is very, very powerful in creating a vibration that elevates you and allows you to be the best version of yourself. And as we constantly upgrade our phones and our apps, we must constantly upgrade ourselves to become the best version that we can. So, along with all of this, I recommend journaling and positive affirmations. You can say them in front of the mirror in the morning when you get up. Start with I love you, I love you, I love you. You are powerful, you are special, you are kind, you are sweet. And then stick to them, or you can write them down, is even better, and then stick them on the mirror or inside your cupboard, which is personal to you. And then the more you say it, the more you become. Every thought becomes a thing, and everything makes you special in this world.
Wow, that's a wonderful advice, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's reassuring for the students to know that simple strategies can help them. So, my next question is for you. How do you approach financial planning differently for NRI clients compared to domestic ones?
Well, it's a little out of syllabus, I think this question is. But let me bring the I would like to know why NRIs. Why are you focusing? Because Anu is there. She's an NRI.
Yes.
Well, yes, the strategies predominantly is based on four or five factors. Typically, non-resident Indians are the people who have lived abroad for a living and they have potential to invest anywhere in the world. So when I come to investments in India, they have a host of investment based on the returns that they get, comparative returns in their host country, and the taxation that they have to undergo there. We have something called DTAA, which is a dual taxation agreement treaty kind of a thing, which will help to understand whether they have to pay tax in both the countries or avoidance there. So in one of the countries, they may not have to pay tax. So if it is advantageous to them and if it is from such a country, then I would probably suggest something different. And if if you take an example of a US, the bond market gives them the best and the equity markets is risky, but it gives them good returns. So they tend to compare their investments there vis-a-vis here. And for a diversification purpose, they'll say, okay, let me put X amount here and Y amount here. So the strategies are evolved on basis of these things and their need. For instance, some of the NRIs would want to come back to India. So at one point of time, they will say, okay, I would like to convert all my money in my host currency to Indian rupees. It doesn't matter what currency at this point of time because I'm not going to take the money. This concept is called repatriation of the money. Some people would want to repatriate the money. I would like to invest in India. However, I would like to take it back to my home country, which is like a dollar denominated investment. Or it could be any currency for that matter, euro or whatever it is. So Indian currency being weak compared to some of the currencies, they will take advantage of that arbitrage, we call it. So they bring that money into India and then say, okay, let me put this money for a 5-year period and it grows to the extent, had this been money been there in my own country, I would not have made that kind of a return. Therefore, I'll put this money in. So strategies differ according to the countries, the currencies, the leverage that they can take with India and the repatriation, taxation, and also I would say post the tax which they pay and the exchange rate, if they are going to make more than, let's say, double digit number, I think the India would be the most favored destination in the current context. What they are trying to do is a lot of people are trying to put money in Indian markets because the return on investment is definitely higher. And largely this is because of the maturity of the market. India has not yet matured in terms of the market. I will just draw one parallel. The more volatile the market it is, the higher the kind of potential to the potency to make money is more. The propensity is more. Therefore, people bring money into India because it's an emerging market and there is a lot of volatility and there is a lot of futuristic growth that we are talking about. So, to answer the question of NRIs versus domestic, yes, the domestic investors are more inclined towards a comparison between a traditional investment versus a capital market investment. There are two types of investment. One is in the traditional bank where I put the money in and I get an X rate of return and for X period of time. Whereas the capital markets throws umpteen number of opportunities saying, okay, I buy this share and I leave it for the next 5 years and I make 10x of the wealth. So it's again investment versus savings. So domestic investors are tuned more towards the local vagaries of the market, not only, and they don't have the problem of exchange rates. However, everything is dependent here on comparison as a reference point as banks as the investment instrument. If I put the money in a bank, what would I get? And if I don't put the money in a capital market, what would I lose? It's as an opportunity. So there are opportunities that are thrown at them. So I will go by my own professionally. What I'm doing today is to say that if there is a domestic investor and if there is an NRI investor, I would go by these factors. NRIs would be driven mostly by their home country advantages and disadvantages. However, in India, the reference point would be tied to their goals, the inflation of here, and also their goals that are over a period of, let's say, 5 to 10 years. So therefore, the appetite to take risk and risk versus reward is higher the longer the investment is. So therefore, for the domestic investors, one can easily articulate the fact that if you keep the money for a 5 to 10 year period, you're likely to make this kind of money because the markets have given that kind of history. If you take a Sensex or the Nifty, which is a barometer of measure of growth, it has given you about 15% per annum over a period of 20 years, which is substantially better than many other countries. Therefore, there is a healthy mix of NRI money coming in and resident money coming in into the capital markets. And also, still the banks are the most favored destinations for investments, but I think it's slowly waning away like any other matured markets. So, having heard from Anu a very holistic approach towards a lot of things, techniques and things, I think a lot of what she said applies to investors also. I would connect that here more primarily from a point of view that when markets are down, probably you do the Brahmari, and the markets are up, you don't have to be buoyant or joyous about it because it is going to be temporary. All you need to do is play it very calmly, very serenely, and both the NRIs and the domestic people can make their share of wealth. And I think on that note, I do not know whether I answered your core question of NRI versus domestic. Is there any specific that you wanted to ask?
No, sir, definitely not. Thank you so much, sir. That was a great learning. And thank you for sharing your expert tips.
Thank you.
Anu ma'am, my next question is for you. How do you help clients redefine the concept of wealth beyond money?
Well, the greatest wealth that we can have is our time. And then comes energy, and then last comes money. Money goes, money can be made, but once time goes, time cannot come back. Energy can still be replenished. So, time is the essence. Every morning when we wake up in our bank balance or in our daily account, we have 1,440 minutes. What if those minutes were money, dollars? That's more than $500,000 every year that we have to use. And every day, every moment, the way we use our money is what makes our life more unique. Every opportunity that comes at every moment in our daily moments of the day are 1,440 minutes is what makes us essentially stronger, more powerful, and more wealthy in every possible way. So abundance is definitely a combination of time, energy, and wealth. The other thing that's really important, as I mentioned one time before, is that 8 billion of us on this planet, each with a unique gift. The meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And some of us might know what we're really good at. Some of us are discovering it, and that's just perfectly fine. There is no perfection in this. It's a continuous journey of learning and unlearning, failing fast, and then stepping forward with every failure to learn the new lesson that takes us forward. So, as we uh, endure this process, what I've understood is that so much of wealth gets created both socially as well as within our own communities with the different things we do, whether it's volunteering, giving back selflessly, supporting the people with different opportunities. And that itself is adding to the economic value of what we call wealth itself. Second thing is health. Health is inherently linked with wealth. If you have good health, that's the greatest part of wealth that accumulates as you go through your life journey and be able to do more good for people around you. And then spiritually, having a peace of mind and harmony in your relationships, that adds great wealth. And then last but not least, professionally, being able to work towards your goal, whatever that might be, whether you're going to be a Virat Kohli or a Shah Rukh Khan, it doesn't matter. Who are you without your name? If I'm not Anu Vittal, who am I? Being able to answer that question. Am I a good human being? Am I an artist? Am I doing something for happiness to be able to create a legacy for the world to live with? Able to identify that and go beyond the basic needs of Maslow's theory of hierarchy into self actualization is to be able to create not just wealth for yourself, but be able to do wealth creation for the whole world around you. And whatever you do with your purpose, I do believe that the offsets from that are abundance in terms of wealth, monetarily, as well as physically, spiritually, emotionally, that add great value to those around you as well as to you. So I would say that if you are really looking to, enhance wealth in your life, look at what you can do by journaling on a regular basis. Talk to your mentors, talk to your teachers, talk to the people around you who you value as someone integral in your life journey, and build a core team of people, because your tribe creates your vibe, and that becomes very important. Getting rid of toxic relationships, things that are not adding value to your asset balance, things are not helping you increase your net worth. Look at your life like that and bring in more investments in that positive journey for creating more wealth. And then I'll release those things that no longer serve you, including energy, and make sure that time of all things is the most important. So that when you have freedom to be able to travel the world, when you have the freedom to be able to, work like you want to and work on your passions, that to me is the greatest wealth. So I hope all of you keep shining like bright diamonds and creating beautiful gems along the way. And I do thank you for this opportunity. And I'm very grateful to be of service to all of you.
That's an interesting way to look at wealth, ma'am. Thank you, both of our guests today, for sharing their knowledge with our students. Now we move on to the next segment of our show. Some of our students are keen on conducting a rapid fire round for our guests. So over to you.
Let's get right into the rapid fire round. Starting with Harish sir, here's the first question. What is the best investment you've ever made?
In myself.
Yeah.
In myself. I invested into
Like,
myself. The time
oh,
I
okay.
invest into myself is what I am today. So, well, to take the fun part of it out, one needs to kind of invest more into our own passion, and that's what is driving me today. That's not
Wow,
rapid.
that must have worked
What
out well.
was it? Was it rapid fire or fire
Yeah,
only?
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. What song comes to your mind when you think of your profession?
This question is for me.
Yeah,
Which song?
a song which you would think would match your profession.
Well, there are many songs. The song that actually, it's I would say Jai Ho.
That's a great
It's very
choice.
victorious because when you celebrate wealth growing for someone, making money for someone, you kind of celebrate. Jai Ho is the song that it resonates.
Here's the third question. If you weren't in banking, what career would you have pursued?
Probably acting.
Oh, wow. That's quite a shift, but I think that would have been very exciting.
Yeah, because I'm
Now for the
acting
fourth
here too.
question.
I could professionally
Yeah.
do acting there.
Now for the
Yeah, that's
fourth
a fact.
question.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Okay. Which Bollywood personality would you choose to embody if not Mr. Harish?
Shashi Kapoor.
Oh, that's a great pick, I think. Finally, the last question. If you had infinite money, what would you do with it?
I will probably create wealth for others through that.
Wow, that's a smart and thoughtful approach. Thank you, sir, for participating in the rapid fire round with me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Over to
Thank you.
Goodman.
I think you took me off guard, but I think I kind of stood my ground and managed it. Thanks, Anvi.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you're ready for your rapid fire round. So here's your first question. What's your go-to hobby to relax after a long day?
I love to paint. It's a passion, and I've always done that since I was about 5 years old. It's such a great way to be able to allow for expression. And as an abstract expressionist, I paint people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So it's such a beautiful way to be able to splurge colors onto a canvas and allow my emotions to be released in a beautiful fashion.
Wow, that sounds like such a wholesome way to relax and unwind. Okay, anyways, moving on to the second question. What's an inspiring quote that motivates you?
Well, I did mention the Picasso quote earlier is the purpose of life is to find your gift and the meaning of life is to give it away. So I think I've lived my whole life at least in this direction. And I feel like it's such a simple message, but it's also a very powerful, empowering way to look at your life journey. And it doesn't have to be very dramatic. It can be something as simple as cooking a beautiful meal for your family or helping someone cross the road. It could be little things that we do on a daily basis that are gifts that we keep giving back.
That's a really powerful quote. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let's go ahead with the next question. What's your favorite travel destination and why?
I just came back from Croatia and I absolutely fell in love with it. I did not know that the Dalmatians came from Croatia. That was a discovery for me. I loved it because I like the ocean. I also like the mountains. And as you might know from geography, Croatia along the Adriatic is a almost like a little sliver that you go along. So the whole journey from the top of, and also Mr. Modi was in Zagreb when I was in Croatia. So that was a
Oh,
very nice experience to be able to make that connection with him and then to be able to journey down to the coast all along the path and be able to have the ocean on one side and the mountains on the left and then go to Dubrovnik, which is a beautiful city. And I thought it was just one of the most spectacular places that I've been to.
oh, that sounds lovely. Now I understand why it's your favorite.
Also, Jeff Bezos was there. He was getting married, so his yacht was there. So that was a
Wow.
delight to see. Oh my God, I've seen Jeff Bezos' yacht. Yeah, so
Oh,
that
that
was.
sounds amazing.
Mhm.
Moving on to the fourth question. Which Bollywood personality do you admire the most?
Well, I do like Deepika Padukone very much because I'm also from Bangalore. And I think she is a powerful icon for all peoples. Plus, I think the very fact that she talks about mental health, which is, I think, a very critical thing in our world today, to be able to balance both our physical mental health. If we go to the gym and do aerobics, we must do neurobics for our brain and being an ambassador for mental health. And I like talk about happiness. So there's a synchronicity there, and so Deepika would be my icon to go to icon.
Oh, that sounds great. And finally, before we wrap up this segment, we'd love to take away something practical from this part. So, what is your one wellness tip that you would like to leave us with today?
Meditation. I highly recommend meditation. I think in the when I'm going to date myself, but 30 years ago, 30 years ago, when we were in school, we would get to sing hymns. And one of my favorite hymn is Humko Man Ki Shakti Dena, Man Vijay Karo, Dusron Ki Jai Ke Pehle Khud Ko Jai Karo. So these are very powerful affirmative hymns. And using those kind of hymns in your meditation, or an affirmative meditation, or a music guided meditation, just 5 minutes is all it takes. What it does, it gives great balance to the body. It releases serotonins, dopamine, oxytocin, and all of these endorphins, positive chemicals that help you really balance your mind and body and soul. And what a great way to start the day and make it a positive impact.
Wow, that thank you for sharing that. That's such a simple yet such a powerful activity, and I agree with you on that. So, thank you so much for participating in this rapid fire round. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank
I
you.
did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I must say the questions were wonderfully framed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear students, for the interesting questions. I hope our guests enjoyed it. On behalf of the organizing committee, Delhi Public School, Bangalore East, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished guests, Ms. Anu Vittal, Chief Happiness Officer, ABC Inc., for her exceptional kindness in agreeing to join us for this Power Hour episode all the way from Canada. Despite the considerable time difference, it truly speaks of her warmth and commitment that she accepted our invitation so graciously, even late into the night in her time zone. And Mr. Harish Raghu, well consultant from Bangalore, for generously sharing his wisdom on the compelling theme of wealth and wellness. Your insights illuminated the powerful synergy between financial acumen and holistic well being. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our management, our principal, Dr. Manira Carvalho, our Vice Principal, Ms. Preeti Suta, for nurturing this thought-provoking platform. My sincere gratitude to Ms. Aparna Raju, Head of the Department Physics, for orchestrating this episode with impeccable planning and thoughtful coordination, and Murthy Sir from the Physics Department. My heartfelt thanks to Ms. Sonali Roy, Head of the English Department, and Ms. Seoni Dixit from the English Department for their guidance and motivation. This program would not have been a success without the support of the technical team. Ms. Vikranti Ashtikar, Head of the Department Computer Science, Ms. Juliet Vinci, and Ms. Pooja Ahuja from the Computer Science Department for their seamless support. Thank you to our wonderful parents, teachers, and students. Your radiant enthusiasm and unwavering support have truly brought today's event to life. We are deeply grateful to you all for your participation, and we hope this day serves as a cherished memory for all of us. Thank you and have a good weekend. I request the guests to stay back for a photo session.